Hey y'all, it's me Alex. Today I'm going to do a chatty get ready with me video on a specific subject that I've kind of seen floating around the internet in the form of a meme that makes me really uncomfortable. To preface the get ready with me part, I am singing in a choir and a holiday concert tonight, so our theme was black with a pop of red and green, so I'm gonna do just some normal holiday eyes and some red lipstick. So gonna use my Modern Renaissance palette. Now, the subject of this get ready with me that I want to talk about, first of all, I've been wanting to try and do more commentary-esque videos on stuff that I see online because I have opinions, and you know what? Maybe I don't need to stop myself from sharing them so much. But this one is specifically on the meme that's like, hey, I'm so glad you reached out, I'm currently at max capacity, blah 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 blah, you know, of that script that I believe they were like an advice columnist or a psychologist or something had shared to answer the question of how do I say no when someone reaches out to me in need of help and I can't give it to them, basically. But to me it's kind of basically just saying how do I set boundaries? You know, a lot of times I think it is in our human nature to help, but we also recognize, at least we should recognize, that we can't help all the time. I'm a person with multiple chronic illnesses, both mental and physical. And I'm also someone who I like having a lot of friends. I like helping people. I'm literally in seminary because I want to go into ministry. I want to help people, not just in my life, but with my life. That is what I want to do. I'm going into a helping profession. But I also recognize that there's times when I need to take a step the heck back and just kind of say, hey, I might not be a good person for this. Basically, this has gotten turned into a meme that makes me feel super duper weird. The meme is basically oh, people sound so robotic, isn't this funny, you know, isn't this silly, of you know, you should always be there to help out your friends. You shouldn't have to say no if you're a real friend. You won't do something like this. And I've seen a spectrum of people, because there's people who are having legitimate criticisms of kind of being this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound like a good way of saying no to someone who's in crisis. And by the way, the person who had originally offered the script did say, hey, this isn't actually good for a crisis situation. This is more of a venting type situation. Anyway, at least that's from what I've kind of done my research on. So I do want to preface that with, I think that's just a falsehood that's going around in order to kind of make this sound more ridiculous. And I get that that script doesn't sound entirely right to people. If I need to set that boundary, that definitely isn't the way I would word it. But I also feel like scripts aren't meant to be exact things to say. It's more to me of I need the words to say this to someone, but I don't know. How the hell do you tell someone that I can't help you right now? And to maybe point them in another direction. Just because, you know, nobody wants to be that person. And I think that there is this false idea of friends are always there for each other. You should always be prepared to have someone vent to you. That type of thing. And I don't think that's necessarily true or a part of a good and healthy friendship. Because I think on the flip side of that, there's the other part of the meme that was are you prepared to receive information that might hurt you? And I take a lot more issue with the way that one was worded than the other one. The first one might have sounded, you know, a little impersonal, but I also recognize that people have different standards of communication. And if you're someone who communicates like that anyway, hopefully the people around you will know you well enough to be able to say, oh, you know, that's how you're communicating, you know, and I understand that. I might change it to something that fits me a bit more. But the second one I think is a bit more problematic just because it doesn't really specify, you know, what's going on. I know it was kind of meant to say hey, I need to talk about something, but it might be something that might trigger you, which I think is a lot better of a way to you should probably say something more specific like that, as opposed to, hey, I want to tell you something that might hurt you. But I don't think either of those things are bad to say in and of themselves. It is not wrong to want to set boundaries in friendships. So my friends and I regularly ask hey, I need to vent about XYZ thing. Is this something that is okay to do with you now, or should I figure out another outlet to do that? That to me is an inherent part of a lot of my friendships. I know not everyone operates that way, but for me that's kind of become like standard procedure. That's just kind of how we are, because a lot of my friends and I, we all have our own struggles with mental illness, with chronic illness, and so we all recognize that, like, you know, we don't always have the spoons. It's not bad to ask, like, hey, do you have the spoons for me to tell you this? And I'm gonna link something down below to spoon theory. And it's not out of this idea that you should never vent to your friends, or like, while I believe in the concept of emotional labor, I don't necessarily apply that to my friendships, because I think that some of the ways that like the internet has come to talk about that has become really problematic. Because yeah, sometimes hearing people vent all the time can be really exhausting. It is not inherently bad to talk to your friends about your problems. You know, you just need to, it's just a matter, I think, of making sure that everyone is kind of mentally and emotionally available to do stuff like that. Because I think on the other part of it, it is a matter of like, if I'm setting that boundary with you, that is me saying that I am not in a good space to help you right now, and that is nothing against you, but rather that I want to help you as much as I can. And if I'm not in the right space to do that, I'm probably not going to be an effective person. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want someone helping me when I can tell that they're like gritting their teeth through it because they have so much on their own plate already. I would rather that person just say, hey, maybe can we talk a bit later about this? I'm going through some stuff too right now. That's why I hate that this has kind of become meme-ified on the internet, because there's just this myth, I think, in so many friendships of you need to be constantly available for each other. And I think, you know, friends should always support each other through crises and stuff like that, but it's also perfectly valid to say, hey, I can't hear venting right now. Can we get together for coffee later or something like that? I don't think that is the bad way to do it. This might also be me because I've had friendships with very bad boundaries before, and they have not ended well. So that's why I value my boundaries so much, because they keep me having healthy friendships. And I think too, if I'm able to be comfortable in saying to you, I can't do this right now, can we try again some other time? That's me wanting to preserve my friendship with you. You know, that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that when I set a boundary with someone, that is me trying to preserve that relationship. It's not out of me like wanting to be mean or not being a good friend, but it's rather that I know where my limits are, and I don't want to become resentful of a friend just because I'm not able to meet all of their needs right now. Because I think the other myth that we have about friendships is, and relationships in general, is that one person should be meeting all of your needs in life, and I think that's really, really wrong. For me, the joy I experience from different friendships and different relationships is recognizing that we all bring something different to the table, that some people are really good to talk to about some things, other people are better to talk to about others. For me, that's a joy that I experience from having different people. You shouldn't just rely on one person to be your support person. After being in therapy for like years and years and years, one of the things I've recognized is that you really do need to have like a team of people, a team you, as Captain Awkward, one of my favorite advice bloggers, calls it. It is all the people who are on your side, all of the people you know want best for you. And when you have a whole team of people, then it takes off that pressure, you know, of saying, oh, you're my only person I can talk to about this, that kind of thing. Because to me, that's just not healthy. Now, before I rant any further, I'm gonna do some eyeliner, because I think that would look super cute with the way that I want this look to turn out. Okay, so to continue on, I also have learned this lesson the hard way for me in my own personal life, in that when I was like 17, 18, 19, I used to be the kind of person who didn't take boundaries very well. So part of the things that I deal with in my life, I have depression, I have anxiety, I'm medicated, I'm in therapy, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not ashamed of it, especially not anymore now that I have learned ways of dealing with it. But that was at the time when all of that was kind of at its worst for me, and I couldn't handle a friend saying, I can't do this right now. I had a couple of friends, but I didn't, you know, I didn't feel comfortable. I couldn't hear it from them without having major panic attacks, or worse. I'm not going to go into deep detail about my previous life because I don't think that that's something that is necessarily helpful, but I used to be that kind of person who couldn't hear no very well. When I came to that realization that I wasn't being a good friend in that I couldn't let my friends have their boundaries around their interactions, that kind of changed my life and the way I dealt with my anxiety and my depression and my problems. Because yeah, like I said, you should be there for your friends in a crisis and all of that, but I think there's a difference between that and between like letting a simple no or a simple disagreement or a simple boundary kind of come between you, because that almost ruined a lot of friendships for me, and I'm so glad that I'm not that person. And it's definitely like, I'm not going to brush off anxiety and depression as these minor things, because they're not. They're mental illnesses, and there's something that we have to battle on a day-to-day basis because they impact every part of our lives, because they literally are all in our head all the time. They don't just magically go away because we become better at communication, because we get therapy. They're things that you still have to deal with after that. It just might become a bit easier, or you become better at dealing with those things. So I'm saying that because I recognize that I almost ruined a lot of friendships that I had with some really great people because I couldn't hear no, or because I wouldn't let people have boundaries with me, that I was kind of constantly reaching out to one person for my mental health problems, when in reality it is so much better to kind of try and develop that support team. And that kind of led me to get a lot of the help that has made me into the person that I am today. Hello, hi, I'm thriving. So that is kind of what has also informed my take on this, is that it just kind of cements for me that boundaries are really good to have for healthy friendships. So I guess kind of my thoughts on this before I put my lipstick on is that yeah, they might be weirdly worded and they might not fit for you, but we're always free to reword things, and scripts aren't inherently bad, and setting boundaries in friendships and relationships isn't inherently bad. I think it's all about how you do it, and I think it's important on both ends of the communication spectrum to be able to say no and to be able to hear no, but also recognizing, you know, that maybe these things aren't the best to say during, like, you know, if someone is in a legitimate time of crisis, which the people who wrote the scripts have said, that that's not particularly helpful either, that you should actually at least figure out a way to get someone the help they need in a time of crisis. So I'm gonna put on some lipstick. I'm gonna use the shade Babe Town from Fluid. Oh, no, I'm not sure if I want to use that. I have a different decisions. Okay, I'm gonna use Rosemont from Fluid. I think this will look better with the eye look. Okay, so this is my finished look. One more thing I wanted to point out before I sign off from this video, because I do have like classes and things to go to today. I did also want to mention that a lot of autistic folks on Twitter are speaking out about the criticism that those scripts sound robotic, in that robotic language and things like that are often things that people use against autistic folks. I'm not autistic, so I'm not able to speak to that personally, but I am going to link, I'm gonna try and figure out who said it, that way I can link to some tweets who can probably speak to the experience a bit better than me. That way you can kind of get the full picture of some of the things that I've been thinking about in going into this video, and I want to make sure I can lift up the voices who have been, you know, speaking with different perspectives on this issue. So I don't know of a way to end this video, because I don't want to like make anyone mad by saying it's not wrong to want it's not wrong to want your friends to be there for you. That's not what I'm trying to get at with this video by any means, but I think that boundaries are a good and healthy thing is what I'm trying to say, and we shouldn't shame people for that just because we want to have a funny meme for Twitter and the internet. I've just, over the past couple days while this like discourse has been going on, I've been avoiding Twitter a lot more because of the number of people who I've seen like legit making fun of this, not criticizing it, not giving better worded scripts or whatever, but legitimately making fun of this. And that has not been great for my own mental health, so I wanted to kind of give my opinions on this. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do want to do more like commentary style videos in the future. just because I really do like talking about this kind of stuff and I shouldn't hold back from posting my opinions on the internet when I feel as though they could be valuable to a discussion. So anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos from me. And I will see you on the next one. Hope you'll have a wonderful day. Bye!